Welcome back for this week's tip. This is Rich Johnson talking to you from the driving range out here at River Hills again. And I'm out here today with my most faithful practice and playing partner, my Shadow. We're going to see what we can learn from this guy. Because we didn't always have video cameras and instant replay and on-screen instant graphics and all the rest of that stuff, so you can get that kind of feedback. And most people tell me that even though they know what they should be doing, what they're doing and what they think they're doing don't always match. And I know that's true of me for sure, because I know that it was pretty eye-opening to actually see myself in videotape. But there are some things we can learn just from looking at our shadow when we're talking about our setup particularly. I'm going to get square. You got to sort of pick your time of day. You don't want to do it when the sun's so high that your shadow is real short. Preferably, it's going to be a time when your shadow is about your height, and we're a little off here. I think the sun is a bit high, but it'll work. Okay, so I'm going to get lined up with it square to my back. I take my normal setup. Here's the first couple things we want to look at. If we look up here at my shoulders, you can see that right shoulder is low. If they're square, then there's something wrong here because your one hand is lower on the club. So they can't be square if everything is going to be pointing in the same direction. All right, so our shoulders are angled that way. Now we're going to look, and we see that our left side is pretty straight. The right side has an angle to it, and we have this K shape that your whole body makes. Okay, so this is all good. We've got an angle in our shoulders, and we've got this K shape made by our right side. Now this is for a right-handed hitter. If you're a left-hander, then it's going to make what would that be? Would that be an ache shape, a backwards K? I don't know, something like that. But you'd have to figure that out, so I'm not going to turn around and go left-handed. Most of us are right-handed. If you need to make that adjustment for the hitting from the other side of the ball, I think you can probably do that. All right, so we got this here. All right, so we walked up, we got our setup. We start the takeaway, and it's going to be hard for you to see what's going on there, but what we're going to start looking at is as we get about halfway back and you're turning the toe of the club up, you see the head of the club disappear on the shadow. You also start to note that your club shaft is pretty much paralleling your target line. Okay, so we come back here. I turn this up here. Now as I start getting up to the top, this whole line here pretty much stays constant. That tells me that I'm on plane. As I get up here, the position of the shadow of my club head tells me whether I'm above or below that plane. It should disappear right behind your left arm. And again, now I'm a right-handed hitter. So I'm going to bring this up here. Club head disappears, and as I get up a little higher, if my shirt wasn't in the way, you could see that there's actually some light showing between my left arm and my right shoulder. That tells me that I've let my arms clear my body. I'm not down here low where you're going to get stuck. Okay, I've made some space, and I've got this nice little triangle of light there. All right, now if you look really close, you'll be able to see actually what you're doing with your left wrist. You can see if it's... I'm going to take my watch off, and that will make it even a little more obvious. As we get up here, you can see whether you're flat or if you've got it cocked up. And it's going to depend a little bit on your swing, how you want to do that. Okay. I'm going to get up here. Because of the position of the sun, I'm actually showing my club head down there pretty low. But you can see, let me turn it up here. You can see what your hands are doing in your shadow. And all this stuff is, at some point, going to be pretty significant when you're starting to work on maybe some fine points of how you want your game to work. You know, consistency is the key, and there's all kinds of little clues that you can get that will help you to refine your practice. So let's think about some of those things. Find yourself a nice sunny day to go practice, and we'll see you back out here at River Hills. This is Rich Johnson saying bye for now. Welcome back for another tip of the week. This is Rich Johnson talking to you again from the driving range out at River Hills. And a subject for the day really isn't so much how to hit the ball as to how to find what's right to hit the ball with. I get a fair number of questions from people through the course of the year as to why is it that they can hit this club 150 yards and they hit this one just as far. Isn't it supposed to go farther or shorter or something? Well, there's a couple factors that go into getting reach out of your shot, and the biggest one, of course, is your swing speed. But all other things being equal, your equipment can make a big difference, and the manufacturers are finally kind of catching on to the fact that the seasoned player and some of the smaller frame women players just don't have the swing speed that these guys you see walking those courses on Sunday afternoon on TV do. Imagine that. So, during the course of their research, they kind of sort of amazed to find that they were dealing with swing speeds in that 50 to 80 mile an hour range rather than the 90 to 110. So they finally started scratching their heads and thinking, well, maybe there's something to this equipment thing that maybe we can do something about. And most of us that have had a little experience building clubs and trying to fit things to people kind of already knew that, and it's good to see them finally see the light. When you're picking your clubs, like I said, you need to match it to your swing speed, which is the biggest factor in selecting a club, because that will influence the type of shaft you select, and the flex of the shaft, which is how much it's going to bend, and the loft of the club face. And we'll just look at drivers here, and I'll talk a little bit about how that affects the make of the rest of the club, or rest of the club set. A club will always have a loft to it, with the exception of your putter, which usually, well, not always, but sometimes will have zero loft, and that's the angle between the shaft and the club face. And if I take a wedge here, you can see what I'm talking about. This angle between the shaft and the club face is the loft, and that is what puts the ball in the air, not me, the player, trying to get under the ball. So we want the club to do that. We want the club to put the ball up in the air. We just want to hit it square and hit it consistent. All right, so we have loft. This particular driver is a fairly low loft, so I've still got a reasonable amount of swing speed, but as you get older or lose strength or lose flexibility or whatever, and you're not getting any reach anymore, try a club with a little more loft, maybe 12 degrees instead of 10, or even 14 degrees instead of 11 or 12. Many players will have noticed already that their 3-wood works a lot better off the tee than their driver does. Well, that's why, because a 3-wood usually has about 15 degrees or so of loft, or more, depending on the club makeup. And it's generally a little bit shorter, it's easier to hit it square, and the angle of the club face puts the ball up in the air better. All right, so that all works in our favor. The shaft flex is a pretty dynamic subject, and that comes into play as you start swinging the club. The club head will actually lag behind the shaft, and if you watch slow motion video or see pictures, you see that the shaft is bent, and they're pretty flexible, so they do bend. And if you're just taking practice swings, sometimes you can even see that it actually bends one way or the other. So we end up storing energy in this shaft, and when we get to the bottom of the swing, that's going to release, just like a slingshot, and it's going to add power to contact with the ball. However, in order to get that flex in the shaft, you have to swing it harder the stiffer the shaft. So if you're playing with S shafts and you don't feel like you're getting range, maybe you want to go to R. If you're playing Rs, go to A's maybe. Okay, so there's varying degrees of flex in the shaft, and all of that can work to help you get the ball up in the air and get out there and equalize that handicap that you might be giving to those younger, stronger guys. So if you want to find out more, you can come and catch me, or talk to your favorite golf professional or teacher. They all know what's going on. They can tell you all about it. So until then, this is Rich Johnson saying bye for now. Well, welcome back for another tip of the week. This is Rich Johnson talking to you from River Hills as usual. And what a difference a few weeks makes, huh? Here we are, end of May, it's 50 degrees. What's up with that? But you know, it's not raining, the wind isn't howling, and here we are out on the golf course. So what we're going to talk about today is more short game things, part of our continuing theme about how to score heavily. And when you get close to the green, there's a couple things that you can do, and this is going to depend on how you like to play. I know a lot of guys like to just take one club that they're really comfortable with, working in and around the fringe here, and they'll use that for all their chip shots. If that's the way you like to play, then you're going to have to know how much of a swing you need to carry it a certain distance, because when we're chipping, regardless of what approach you use, whether you like to use different clubs or different distances, you're probably going to have to aim at some spot out here rather than trying to drop it right in the cup. That's a pretty rare and extraordinary occurrence. So if we're standing back here and I've got my gap wedge in my hand, I'm going to aim at a spot, about almost 2/3 of the way on the green there, and see if I can get close. Okay, that one's going to be a little short. I can tell that. Throw this one up here a little farther. Okay, that one probably would be all right. Okay, that one's going to be a little heavy. I hit that pretty low. All right, so we got a few shots out there that are within reasonable putting distance. Regardless of what approach you use or what club you use, when we're standing out there, and I'm going to do this here rather than off in the wild blue yonder, the biggest mistake I see people make when they get close is they'll line up, they'll take this backswing, maybe a big backswing, and try and stop. And what happens then, if I turn this way, the club head starts down, their hands stop, the club head gets going like that, and what happens? There it goes. And then you're not happy. Okay. So here's what we have to do. If we get set, I'm taking a real narrow stance because I want to take my lower body out of it. I'm not taking a big swing. We only got hit it a few feet, not many tens of yards. Okay, get set up with your hands ahead of the ball. Bring the club back. Your hands stay ahead. And the club head actually stays down. If you watch Tiger, he's a great one to watch for this. When he's hitting these chip shots, you see him end holding the club up here in front of him. He hasn't broken he hasn't turned his wrists over. He hasn't done anything to get that club head going. Lets it drop and pulls it through right there. Okay, I'll pick these up. Let's go take another look at it. All right, so here we're set up again. I'm standing over the ball. My hands are a bit ahead, nice and relaxed. Bring the club head back. The club head stays down. I'm not trying to throw it through there. You have to have a little faith in yourself that you're going to toss that ball up where you want it to go. So, work on that. This is one time when I'm going to say, go ahead and hit a whole bunch of balls without worrying about where they go, just so you can get used to that feel, making contact without throwing the club head through ahead of your hands. So, go work on that. Next time when we come back, we'll actually get on the green and do something here. So until then, this is Rich Johnson saying bye for now.